ever beat you yet? Yes, I know it's a horrible way to start the video, but yes, I need to know, your mother ever beat you yet? And I'm telling you, if you have said yes, or you probably don't understand what I mean. I don't know who is actually watching this. It probably be American or something. I don't know. But if you grew up in Jamaica, I don't know about the Caribbean, but I know if you grew up in Jamaica, right? You know what beating is, right? Because listen, I have witnessed some things. I have witnessed some things. Listen, some people get beaten with mopstick, buckle, belt. Listen, I have witnessed. I mean, let me tell you, I got beaten here, but I was kind of a good kid. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of a good kid because yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I've witnessed a lot of things, right? And I'm not talking about abuse here. There's a difference between using the rod of correction and just inflicting hurt. There is a difference between those two, right? So I'm not talking about the inflicting hurt part. I'm just talking about, your mother or father correcting you, right? Using the rod of correction to correct you. And I'm not going to go into, if it is right or wrong. To be honest, I think the Bible makes it very clear. And not only that, anybody who is a Jamaican or so, and they're probably like, on the top of the chart or top of the level in terms of their business and where they are, the position that they're probably working, they can tell you, right, that maybe if it was not for my mother, using the rod of correction, I probably wouldn't be here. Yeah, you know what I mean? So there are various testimonies, that many children, or many, not children, but adults can say, if because my mother used, the rod, I am where I am today. You understand? I'm not a waste of time. I'm not, I'm working hard now, and so on and so forth, right? So, if your mother ever beat you yet, you probably, maybe at that age you'll be like, yo, that woman is wicked, boy, say I don't really appreciate, this whole thing. Then wicked, you probably be like, but we understand that they do this not to cause pain to us, but to ensure that we get on the right path, right? They do it so that we can be, the best person today, right? They do it so that they can, remove the bad traits or the bad habits that, that if we let it stay, right, then it will cause a downward path for us. So that's why they use it, right? So they use it because they love us. And it's the same thing that was happening in Genesis 3 verse 16 to 19. We see where God, he talks about, in verse 16, he talks about, woman, you shall conceive in sorrow, meaning that, when you're having a child, you're going to conceive that child, or you're going to birth that child, they're going to basically, you'll feel pain. You understand? Basically. Right? And you see, he talks about verse 17, he cursed the ground, for man's sake or for man's benefit. You see where verse 18, he talks about, no thorns shall arise out of the plants, right? And verse 19, he speaks about, you're going to work, hard now. You're going to, in order for you to get food, right, you're going to labor, you have to do more work. Remember, God created a really good world. He created an awesome planet, and sin has marred all of that. Sin has caused this, right? And not only that, it's the choices of choosing sin. So yes, sin was there, but when we choose, it leads to a downward path. And of course, if you have not looked at day 5, now is a good time to understand, why God allows suffering and so on. And I did a video on that. So check out day 5, right? But I would like to show us that God did this out of love for Adam and Eve. He did this out of love for us. Remember, I spoke about earlier about using the rod of correction. This is basically God using the rod of correction on them, right? He is basically saying, look, if I make this world all good and you are under this curse, this sin curse, then you won't really change. You get what I'm saying? You won't change. What, Neisha, what are you talking about? What do you mean? I am saying that it is because God allowed, he used this rod of correction, because he allowed, the thorns to now be on the plants. Because use, mother is now conceiving in sorrow and so on and so forth. He used all of this to know, get us back to himself, or to, so that we can have a connection with him. Maybe I'm not clear. God's purpose in doing this is so that we can now have a closer bond with him. You get what I'm saying? If everything was fine under the sin curse, there's no need for a God. You know what I mean? But the reality is that everything cannot be fine under sin, because sin is the direct opposite of God, his ways, and nature on a whole. So the whole earth is acting the opposite to what God has created, because sin is a direct opposite of God. Sin is a direct opposite of what was there before. Right? In the perfect world, it's a direct opposite of a perfect world. That is what sin is. Right? It's the opposite of God in totality. But God is using this problem now that we are under, so that we can get a closer relationship with him. Let's, for example, right, I'm going to try and make this very short. For example, right, when you go through a hard time, when you're struggling, you understand? Most people rely on God. Most people see God at this point, like, oh Lord, I know somebody, I know somebody too, on your path and everything, but please, me I ask you, understand, help me out here, because, I can't take the stress, right? And many of us, we reach out to God in our times of need, in our times of struggle, in our times of sorrow. I'm not saying that should not be the only time you reach out to God. God should be an everyday friend, an everyday person where he does all the vibes with. You get what I'm saying? So God is using this as a way for us to have a closer bond with him, so that we can also see his character, so that we can see that he's a God of love. We don't deserve the mercies of God. We don't deserve, God is a good God. Even though we fall short, he never said, alright, I'm done with you now. Yeah, he never yet say, boy, I tell you, I do this, I help you before I still lack faith. I'm not gonna say, boy, I'm done with you now, I cut you off. No, he does not say that. Right? He does not say that. He still says, alright, I'm gonna still bail you out. I'm gonna still bail you out. Even though, you have not, been good, and reality is that we can't be good without God. And God is so loving, because many of us, we would not sacrifice, or we would not, do the things that God is doing for us, right? And even for others, right? We would not, but God continuously shows us kindness despite us being unkind to him. God continuously shows us mercy despite we being unmerciful to others. God still shows us grace and love despite, saying a mean word to somebody or doing somebody hurt. Right? God still shows us mercy. And the reality is this: God allows suffering so that we can understand that he's a merciful God despite us being unmerciful. You get what I'm saying? So God says in John 14 verse 6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And he talks about, in Psalm 16 verse 11, he says, and I have it right here, right? Remember, it's understanding God through the scriptures. Have it right here. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. Come on now. All the time you clap. Yes. At the right hand there are pleasures forevermore. God wants to give you life. He wants to give you joy. He does not want to allow you to suffer. That's why he says evil things like, cast your cares upon me because I care for you. When he says things like, call unto me and I will show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. When he talks about, for my thoughts for you is to prosper, right? When he says words like these, when he says things like these, it showcases that, despite, the horrific things and the pain and the suffering that sin, comes with, God is here saying, look man, I still got your back. Even though you don't choose me, I still got your back. But I want to let you know a time is coming where he will no longer, well, I should say it like this. A time is coming where if you consistently reject God, if you consistently, just shun his mercies, basically, if you consistently don't allow him to, mold you and shape you into who he wants you to be, then he's going to be gone. And he's not going to help you anymore. Because you have solidified and you have made your choice. And remember, God is a God who wants you to have liberty of conscience. Listen. God wants you to have, free. What a choice is not free if it is that he is going to conform your mind, basically. You have the choice. You can choose him or choose not him. And if you choose not him, then you're choosing the devil's path. I implore you today, choose Christ, choose life. He wants the best for you, but you can't live in sin and have Christ at the same time. You have to choose. You have to make your choice. You have to say, Lord, I want you, and nothing else is going to come in between me and you. It's God or nothing. It's your all to God or nothing. God wants your all. A piece of God or a piece of yourself to God won't count. Doesn't count. You understand? God wants your all because he wants to transform you and make you into, a better person. He wants to give you life eternal, actually. So I ask you today and I implore you, choose Christ, choose life. Choose life.